Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I'm going to share something with you. Let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're laying in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You tried lifting the lid, but the enormous weight upon the lid prevents you from opening the lid. You tried banging on the lid, so maybe the dirt are unsettled, and some people might start digging their way down to helping you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help. You know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. In reality, there are people standing by your grave. You just don't know that. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to repress the fear of death, you have to be great. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind that when you were abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose and take something away that God had given you in life, called life? You will be selfishly taking that life away from your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children, and your grandchildren. With this, let me leave one last thought. Don't be like the person I'm reading about on these index cards that waited and waited until it was too late. Instead, pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and together you and I will help you take your life back. I'm going to jump and skip a couple other commercials today and go marijuana versus alcohol. Which is really worse for your health? Marijuana versus alcohol. Which one do you think is worse? Research into the health effects of marijuana is still in its infancy. Marijuana is a plant, but still in a lot of states it is, by all purposes, it's illegal. The question of whether alcohol or marijuana is worse for the health is being debated once again, this time sparked by comments that President Barack Obama made in a recent interview with the New Yorker magazine. As has been well documented, I smoked pot as a kid, and I view it as a bad habit and a vice. Not very different from cigarettes that I smoked as a young person up until a big chunk of my adulthood life, Obama said during the interview. I don't think it's more dangerous than alcohol, but how apt is the comparison between these substances? While both are intoxicants, used recreational, their legality, patterns to use, and the long-term effects on the body make the two drugs difficult to compare. Both alcohol consumption and pot smoking can take a toll on the body, showing both short-term and long-term health effects, though alcohol has been linked to some 88,000 deaths per year, according to the CDC, while for a number of reasons, these associated with marijuana use harder to come by. And research into marijuana's health effects is still in infancy, compared to the rigorous studies looking at alcohol and human health. Short-term health consequences. Drinking too much alcohol can quickly kill a person. The inability to metabolize alcohol as quickly as it can consume can lead to buildup of alcohol in the brain that shuts down areas necessary for survival, such as those involved with heartbeat and respiration. You can die from binge drinking 5 minutes after you've been exposed to alcohol. That isn't going to happen with marijuana, said Ruben Baylor, health scientist at National Institute on Drug Abuse. The impact of marijuana usage is much subtler. Just waiting for the next. Marijuana affects the cardiovascular system, increasing heart rate and blood pressure, but a person can't fatally overdose on pot like they can with alcohol, said Baylor. Alcohol is more likely than marijuana to interact with other drugs. The way that alcohol is metabolized or broken down in the body is common to many drugs that are taken for a variety of conditions, said Gary Murray, director of Division of Metabolism and Health Effects in the National Institute on Alcohol and Alcoholism. This means that for people taking drugs or medication while drinking, the alcohol can increase or decrease levels of active drug in your body. Those things can make it very hard, and they will have a hit and miss effect, whether you're getting into active dose of medication or not. Still, both drugs can affect the health in indirect ways also. Because marijuana can impair coordination and balance, there's a risk of hurting oneself, particularly if someone drives or chooses to have unprotected sex while in their inhibitors are lowered. Bayless said these two areas where people use marijuana could hurt themselves for short and long-term effects and hurt others. Next page is coming right now. What do you think about marijuana and cooking with hemp? That's been an article that's been written over and over again, and we're going to address that next time. But the long-term effects of drinking heavily are well known. Excess alcohol is going to lead to very severe consequences, and chronic excess alcohol is most likely to lead to threatening issues such as kidney failure, alcohol poisoning. Drinking can lead to alcohol liver disease, which can progress to fibrosis of the liver, which in turn can potentially lead to liver cancer, said Murray. I emphasize can. It's not even clear to the best scientists that the triggers are allowed to progression to happen for sure, he said, noting that's why some people have a higher risk than others of developing liver disease from drinking is not understood medically or biomedically. Unlike alcohol, Bayless said the effects of chronic marijuana use is not as well established. Animal studies have indicated some possible impact on reproduction. Additionally, there is evidence that marijuana can worsen psychiatric issues for people who are predisposed to them or bring them to the table at a younger age to smoke. Finally, Bayless said because the drug is typically smoked, it can bring bronchitis, coughing, and chronic inflammation to all your air passages. But while early studies showed some evidence linking marijuana to lung cancer, subsequent studies have debunked that association. Bayless said it's unclear why marijuana smoke does not have the same result of tobacco smoke on the lungs, but perhaps some beneficial compounds in the marijuana smoke cancel out the ill effects, or perhaps the other health habits of marijuana smokers are different from those of cigarette smokers. But cigarette smoking plays a complicated role in studying the impact of marijuana smoke. Most people that smoke excessive amount of cigarettes, up to a pack, some 2 packs a day, compared to marijuana, a joint or 2. It's very tough nut to break to cut down on the consumption of smoking cigarettes. Additionally, researchers looking to the study long-term marijuana use have difficulty finding people who regularly smoke marijuana but don't also smoke tobacco cigarettes. And it is illegal in most states to smoke marijuana. For marijuana, much of the concern is with young people who use drugs because the drug interferes with development of the brain and while the young person is still maturing, and that is a major concern. Smoking marijuana interferes with connections being made to the brain, especially during that maturity stage, says the doctor. How much you are impaired depends on the person and how much you smoke, said Baylor, because some people are stoned a lot of the time while others use marijuana only on weekends or during rough times in life. You are impairing your life no matter which way you do it, marijuana or alcohol, but studies have shown that alcohol usage is much more dangerous for health and for you than marijuana usage. We always counsel people to avoid drinking to the excess, but moderate drinking is not something that's very dangerous. As for marijuana, whose legalization for medical uses has been a matter of strong public policy debate for years, there is ample evidence that beneficial compounds in the plant will help you in your health. So eventually I do believe that marijuana will be legal throughout the country, just as much as alcohol is legal. Both are killers. Alcohol has killed more, but the bottom line is that either which one, try to avoid. Make a new start today. Give me a call at 844-405-HELP. Whether alcohol is better or safer or worse, it doesn't matter. Both alcohol and marijuana are bad for your life. Give me a call, 844-405-HELP, and let me help you take your life back.